Success is not when people recognize your face, but when they recognize your standards. Most people grow up with a very narrow idea of success. From an early age, they are taught to associate success with visible rewards, money in the bank, applause from others, titles, trophies, and recognition. These things are not wrong, but they are incomplete. When success is defined only by what others can see, life becomes a performance. You start acting for approval instead of acting with purpose. And the danger of this path is simple. The moment the applause stops, so does your sense of worth. True success must be able to survive in silence. If you look closely, the people who truly last are rarely chasing attention. They are chasing excellence. They understand that success is not something you announce, it is something you demonstrate. Education teaches us this principle clearly. A student who only studies to pass an exam may succeed briefly, but the one who studies to understand builds knowledge that stays for life. In the same way, a person who works only for recognition may achieve short-term visibility, but the one who works for mastery rebuilds something that cannot be taken away. Redefining success means shifting the focus from outcomes to foundations. Outcomes change, fame fades, money comes and goes, but foundations, discipline, values, self-respect remain. When you measure success by how aligned your actions are with your principles, you gain stability. You are no longer shaken by comparison. You stop asking, am I ahead or F others? And start asking, am I becoming better than I was yesterday? This shift alone frees a tremendous amount of mental energy. Many people believe success is about being seen by the world. In reality, success is about being trusted by those who matter. Trust is earned slowly through consistency. When your words match your actions, people begin to rely on you. Your name starts to mean something. This is how a signature gains value. Anyone can sign their name, only a few make that name represent reliability, depth, and quality. That difference is built over years, not days. There is also a quiet confidence that comes with redefining success. When you are no longer dependent on external validation, you become internally anchored. You work with patience. You move with intention. You are not distracted by what others are doing because you are clear out your own path. This clarity is rare, and rare things are valuable. Education at its highest level is not about collecting information. It is about learning how to think, how to choose, and how to direct your life with awareness. Another important lesson is understanding that success is not always comfortable. Growth often feels slow. Progress often feels invisible. But just because others see and not see your effort does not mean it is not shaping you. Every disciplined action leaves a mark. Over time, those marks form your character. And character is what people recognize long before they recognize achievement. This is why true success is often recognized later, but it lasts longer. When you redefine success in this way, pressure transforms into responsibility. You stop trying to impress, and you start trying to improve. You stop performing, and you start practicing. And one day, you realize something profound. Your name no longer needs explanation. It carries meaning on its own. Success is not when everyone knows your name. Success is when your name stands for something worth remembering. Behind every respected name, there is a level of discipline that most people will never possess. The world often celebrates the result, but ignores the process. It admires the autograph without understanding the years it took for that signature to earn meaning. Discipline is not about punishment or force. It is about structure. It is the decision to train yourself daily, even when no one is watching, even when there is no immediate reward. Many people wait to feel inspired before they act. But discipline works in the opposite direction. Action comes first and motivation follows. Education teaches this clearly. A student who studies only when they feel motivated will struggle. A student who studies at a fixed time, regardless of mood, builds strength. Over time, the mind learns obedience. This obedience is not weakness, it is freedom. When you control your actions, you are no longer controlled by distractions, impulses, or excuses. Discipline also teaches patience. Progress in any meaningful skill is slow. The body resists, the mind complains, doubt appears. But those who continue despite discomfort develop resilience. This resilience becomes visible in how they move, how they speak, and how they decide. People may not know exactly why they trust you, but they feel it. That feeling comes from consistency, and consistency is the child of discipline. There is a common mistake people make when chasing success. They try to look successful before they become capable. They focus on appearance instead of ability. Discipline reverses this. It keeps you humble and focused on improvement rather than image. When you train your craft daily, you no longer need to announce you are progress. Your work begins to speak for you. And when your work speaks clearly, your name gains weight. True discipline is quiet. It does not seek attention. It is built in early mornings, repeated practice, and deliberate choices. It is choosing to refine one skill instead of chasing many. It is saying no to distractions so you can say yes to growth. Education reminds us that depth always defies speed. Those who rush often burn out. Those who train patiently last. Discipline also shapes character. When you keep promises to yourself, you build self-respect, and self-respect is visible. It affects posture, tone, and presence. People respond to this. They may not know your story, but they sense your stability. A person with discipline becomes predictable in the best way. Others know what to expect from them, and this reliability builds trust. Trust is the true currency of success. Over time, discipline creates mastery. Mastery creates confidence. Confidence creates influence. This sequence cannot be skipped. Many try to jump to influence without mastery, but it never lasts. Influence that is not earned collapses under pressure. Education exists to protect us from this shortcut mentality. It teaches us that strong results require strong roots. When discipline becomes part of your identity, success stops feeling heavy. You are no longer chasing it. You are simply becoming the kind of person it naturally follows. And when that happens, your name begins to carry a story. Not because you demanded recognition, but because you earned respect. Discipline is the ink that turns an ordinary signature into something worth asking for. Consistency is one of the most underestimated forces in human development. People often look for dramatic changes, sudden breakthroughs, or moments of transformation. But real progress rarely arrives in a single moment. It arrives quietly through repetition. The same small actions done again and again shape the person you become. Education shows us this truth early. You do not become knowledgeable in one lesson. You become knowledgeable by returning to study day after day, even when it feels ordinary. Many people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack consistency. They start with energy, then stop when results are not immediate. They mistake movement for progress and excitement for growth. Consistency teaches a different lesson. It teaches you to stay when things become dull. It trains you to continue when the mind starts negotiating excuses. Each time you choose to show up, you strengthen a muscle that most people never develop. The ability to remain steady. Small daily actions may seem insignificant, but they are powerful because they compound. One disciplined choice may not change your life, but 1,000. And disciplined choices will. When you read a few pages every day, knowledge accumulates. When you practice a skill a little each day, mastery forms. When you behave with integrity consistently, trust grows. Over time, the gap between those who are consistent and those who are not becomes impossible to ignore. This gap is not created by luck, it is created by persistence. Consistency also builds identity. You stop seeing discipline as something you do and start seeing it as who you are. When actions become habits, effort decreases. The mind resists less. You no longer debate whether to act, you simply act. This stability is rare, and people are drawn to it. They trust what is predictable. They respect what endures. Your name begins to carry meaning because it is associated with reliability. There is an important educational lesson here. Excellence is not about intensity, it is about duration. Many can work hard for a week. Few can work steadily for years. Consistency teaches humility. It reminds you that growth cannot be rushed. Each day becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. Even on days when progress is invisible, something is still happening beneath the surface. Roots are growing. Consistency also protects you from ego. When you commit to daily practice, you learn to focus on the work rather than the reward. You stop chasing praise and start valuing progress. This creates emotional balance. You are not overly affected by success or failure because you understand that both are temporary. What matters is returning to the process. Education is not about being perfect, it is about being persistent. As consistency continues, results begin to appear naturally. Others may call it talent or luck, but you know the truth. You know how many ordinary days built that outcome. This quiet confidence is powerful. You do not need to explain yourself. Your results do that for you. This is how a reputation is formed without effort to impress. In time, consistency creates trust. Trust creates respect, and respect creates recognition. People begin to value your presence, your work, and your name. And what once was just a signature slowly becomes something people want to remember. Consistency is the silent force that turns effort into excellence. Recognition has a way of revealing who a person truly is. Skill may open doors, but character determines what happens. Those doors are open. Many people focus their energy on becoming impressive, yet very few focus on becoming reliable. Education teaches us that knowledge without ethics is dangerous, and ability without character is unstable. If recognition arrives before character is developed, it often exposes weaknesses rather than strengths. Character is built in moments when no one is watching. It is made in the choices you make when there is no reward attached. How you speak about others, how you handle frustration, how you treat those who can do nothing for you. These moments shape your inner structure. They may seem small, but over time they define your presence. People may forget what you achieved, but they remember how safe, respected, or inspired they felt around you. There is a common belief that recognition will change a person. In truth, recognition only amplifies what already exists. If discipline is weak, recognition magnifies arrogance. If values are unclear, recognition magnifies confusion. But when character is strong, recognition becomes a responsibility rather than a temptation. You begin to understand that your behavior influences others, and this awareness brings humility. Education is not only about developing the mind, it is about refining conduct. A well-trained mind with an undisciplined character creates imbalance. This is why character must come first. When you develop honesty, patience, and self-control early, success has a stable place to land. You no longer need to pretend or perform. You act from alignment rather than ego. Strong character also tests emotional resilience. Praise does not inflate you, and criticism does not destroy you. You remain centered because your self-worth is not tied to external opinion. This stability is rare, and people sense it immediately. They trust those who are not desperate for validation. They respect those who do not need to prove themselves. This is how your name begins to carry quiet authority. Another important aspect of character is accountability. When you make mistakes, you acknowledge them. When you fall short, you correct yourself. This honesty builds credibility faster than perfection ever could. Education teaches us that growth depends on feedback, and character determines whether we accept or resist it. Those who grow are those who listen. As recognition increases, the temptation to company and promise also increases. Shortcuts appear. Ego whispers. Character is what protects you in these moments. It reminds you why you started, not just where you are going. It keeps your actions aligned with your values. This alignment creates inner peace, which no external success can replace. When character comes before recognition, success becomes sustainable. You do not burn out trying to maintain an image. You do not fear exposure. You simply continue being who you trained yourself to be. And over time, people notice. They may not speak it out loud, but they feel it. Your presence becomes dependable. A respected name is not built on talent alone. It is built on trust, and trust is the natural result of strong character. When you look deeply at any name that carries lasting respect, you will find that its value was never created for personal gain alone. True success expands beyond the self. It moves outward. It touches lives. Serving others is not a strategy for recognition. It is a natural expression of growth. Education reminds us that knowledge gains meaning only when it is shared, and strength gains purpose only when it is used to uplift. Many people chase success as a way to feel important, but importance that depends on attention is fragile. Service, on the other hand, creates quiet strength. When your work helps others move forward, your focus shifts from ego to impact. You stop asking, "How do I look?" and start asking, "How can I help?" This shift changes everything. It grounds you. It brings clarity. It creates depth. Serving others does not require grand gestures. It begins with awareness, listening fully, teaching patiently, acting responsibly. In education, the most influential teachers are not always the loudest or the most famous. They are the ones who care enough to explain again, to guide without judgment, and to believe in potential before it is visible. Their influence often goes unrecognized for years, yet it shapes lives in ways that cannot be measured. When you serve consistently, trust forms naturally. People sense when your intentions are clean. They feel safe around those who do not seek advantage. Over time, this trust becomes reputation. Your name becomes associated with value, not because you promoted yourself, but because others experienced your contribution. This is how respect grows olga. Nickly. Service also refines character. When you help others, you confront your own limitations. You learn patience. You learn humility. You learn that progress looks different for everyone. Education teaches us that understanding deepens when we teach, and strength stabilizes when it is shared. Service prevents arrogance because it keeps you connected to reality. There is also a powerful discipline in service. When you commit to contributing, you must remain consistent. You cannot disappear when it becomes inconvenient. This responsibility sharpens your habits. It forces you to maintain standards. Over time, these standards become part of who you are. You no longer serve. Occasionally, you serve naturally. Many people believe success is about reaching the top, but the highest form of success is creating space for others to rise. When you support growth in others, your own growth accelerates. This is not a theory, it is observable. Those who give knowledge deepen their understanding. Those who give stability strengthen their own foundation. Service also protects you from emptiness. Achievement without contribution feels hollow. Education warns us of this imbalance. When success is disconnected from purpose, it loses meaning. But when your work improves lives, even in small ways, it carries weight. It feels earned. It feels complete. Over time, people remember those who help them more clearly than those who impress them. Gratitude lasts longer than admiration. When your name is spoken with gratitude, it carries a different energy. It is not just recognized, it is respected. A name gains real value when it becomes associated with contribution rather than self-promotion. At some point, every serious person begins to think beyond achievement and starts thinking about meaning. This is where legacy enters. Legacy is not about how many people know your name while you are present. It is about what your name represents when you are not in the room. Education teaches us that impact is measured over time, not in moments. A legacy is formed slowly through repeated behavior, consistent values, and long-term responsibility. Many people confuse legacy with fame. Fame is loud and temporary. Legacy is quiet and enduring. Fame asks for attention. Legacy earns remembrance. When your actions consistently reflect discipline, integrity, and service, your name begins to stand for something specific. People may not remember every detail of what you did, but they remember the standard you set. This is the highest level of success. Legacy is built through alignment. What you think, what you say, and what you do must move in the same direction. When there is alignment, there is trust. When there is trust, there is influence. Education exists to help us refine this. Alignment. To sharpen thinking, guide behavior, and expand awareness. Without alignment, even great achievements feel scattered. With alignment, even simple actions carry weight. Another important aspect of legacy is responsibility. As your influence grows, so does your duty to act with care. Every decision sends a message. Every action teaches something, whether intentionally or not. When you understand this, you move more consciously. You are no longer acting only for yourself. You are shaping an example. This awareness transforms ordinary behavior into leadership. Legacy is also about continuity. It is not built in one generation or one project. It is sustained by consistency across time. This is why daily discipline matters so much. Small actions, repeated over years, outlive grand gestures. Education reinforces this truth by showing us how knowledge accumulates, how habits form, and how cultures are shaped. What you practice today becomes what others inherit tomorrow. There is a deep sense of peace that comes from living with legacy in mind. You are less reactive. You are less driven by ego. You choose actions that you would be proud to stand behind even years later. This internal clarity reduces regret. It allows you to move forward without constantly looking back. Legacy does not require perfect. It requires sincerity. Mistakes will happen. What matters is how you correct them. Accountability strengthens legacy more than flawless performance ever could. When people see honesty and growth, they learn that integrity is not about never falling, but about always standing back up with awareness. In the end, your legacy is carried by people, not monuments. It lives in the lessons you leave behind, the standards you establish, and the lives you influence. Education prepares us for this by reminding us that knowledge is not owned, it is passed on. The same is true for values. When your name continues to guide, inspire, and uplift even in your absence, it has become more than a signature. It has become a legacy.